Okay, hi, Assalamualaikum, and good evening to doctor and my fellow friends. We are from group 2. We present to you how to use SPSS software. So, these are our group members. So, these are our table of content. So, first, introduction. So, we need to know what is SPSS. SPSS is a statistical software for data analysis. It is used in social sciences, health, and education. It will help manage data, run statistical tests, and create graphs. So next, what is t-test? So what t-test is compare group means to find significant differences. It is commonly used in hypothesis testing. There are two main types of t-test. First is independent t-test and second is paired t-test. For the independent t-test, it compares the means of two different groups. For example, male and female, treatment versus control. It checks if the difference between the group means is statistically significant. Second is paired t-test. It compares the means of the same group at two different times. For example, before versus after treatment. It is used when the data points are related or meshed. So I think that's all from me. So I'll proceed to the next presenter.
Hello and hi, my name is Siti Nurain. So I will continue for the difference between every test. So we have two tests which is independent and paired test. For the group, usually for the independent test, we will take the group from two different group, and for the paired test which we will do from the same group or mesh pair. Such as for example, independent test we can use male or female, and then for paired test usually we will do the test from the pre and post of the intervention, and then that is for dependency. Independent test usually will take the independent sample, which is two or more group are collected under different condition and not related to each other, while the dependent per sample is a subject in one sample that match and corresponding into each other. And then for the data type is independent test, we will do it between subject comparison, and then for pair test within the subject comparison.
Hello, my name is Nur Hazira bint Abdul Razak. So I'm going to present about purpose and benefits of t-test. So for purpose of t-test, t-test help to determine whether there is a significant difference between the means of two groups. It also helps test a hypothesis and see if any observed difference is likely due to chance or a real effect. The test help to figure out if the data is statistically significant or just by any chance. For benefit, it is simple and easy to use for comparing two means. It works well with small sample sizes, around less than 30 samples. It helps determine statistical significance between two conditions or group. It also provides a quantitative method, which is t-test provide data and proper analysis to support our conclusion with evidence. So that's all from me.
So this is the example of that. The topic is the effect of aerobic exercise on blood pressure between intervention and control group. Okay, single observation from each participant from two independent groups. The observation from the second group is independent from the first since they come from the different subject. Comparing the difference between two means to a distribution of difference between mean score. So this is how to use SPSS to analyze independent t-test. So in the SPSS apps, we first need to click analyze and then search for compare means independent sample t-test, and then we have to move the blood pressure to test variable box, and then move the group to the grouping variable box, and then we proceed to click define group and type 1 for group 1 and 2 for group 2. This is the code for the group one is intervention and for group two is control. And then we can click continue, and then we can look at the SPSS output and interpret the result.
So next, I'll proceed to find the mean, standard deviation, p-value, and to conclude this study. So from the t-test table, we can see that the mean and standard deviation of BP for the both intervention and control group. For the mean for BP of intervention group, it is 81.50, and for the control group is 89.90. Next, the standard deviation for BP and intervention and control group. For the intervention group, it is 9.192, and for the control group is 14.019. So next, I'll proceed to find the p-value for this independent t-test. From the independent sample test table, we can see that there is a significant two-tail. That are the p-value for this independent t-test. For the p-value for this independent t-test, it is 0.130. So independent sample test, to conclude this independent t-test, the significant level is 0.05. So there is different there is significant difference the mean of the BP between intervention and control group because the p value is more than 0.05. So I think that's all from me. So I'll proceed to the next presenter.
Okay, Assalamualaikum everyone. My name is Muhammad Abdul. I will present about using SPSS analysis using test on real case study. So for my case study, the topic is immediate effect static stretching on outer movement jump performance among unique activity. So first of all, we need to click analyze at the top, and then click compare mean. Then we go to the pair centrality test, and then can we move the pre-stress to variable one, pair one, and also post-stress to variable two, pair one. Then click OK. Then come out the output of SPSS and also the result. So that's all for me.
So, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So, this is our real case study, which is immediate effect of static stretching on counter movement jump performance among KRCMP students. So, this is our data of the jump height data. So, we will analyze and interpret the result, and based on of the test of normality, we will use the Shapiro-Wilk test because the number of our participants is less than 50, and Shapiro-Wilk we use because of the it take from our actual sample data and make it more accurate in most practical cases. So we get the p-value or the significant difference of our data is 0.887 and 0.628 for pre and post stretch. So based on the significant difference 0.05, we can conclude that our data is normally distributed. So this is both data of our histogram for pre and post stretch. As you can see, the curve line of y-axis and s-axis, which is the number of the participant and the range of jump height value, are in symmetry or in a bell shape. So it means most value are near to the average with fewer extreme values. So we can conclude that our data is normally distributed. I think that's all from me. I will pass to the next presenter.
So next, I will proceed to find the mean and situation for this real case study. So from the PET sample test table, you can see that these are the mean for the pre-stretch and post-stretch and the standard deviation for the pre-stretch and post-stretch. So for the mean it is 1.47, and the standard deviation for this real case study is 1.6563, or you can round off to 1.66. So I think that's all from me. I will proceed to the next presenter.
Hi, my name is Nur Arkila, and now I'm going to present about the advantages and limitations of using the t-test. t-test can be used in varying sample size. For example, we can use this t-test to use in the bigger or smaller sample size. The second point is it is very simple to calculate, which is when we put the data in the SPSS, then t-test will be out immediately. For the third one, t-test is capable to identify the statistical significance. And for the last one, it is variable application, which is it can be used in many types of field such as medicine, business, psychology, and engineering. Next, I'm going to present about the limitations when using the t-test. So for the first limitation, it is limited only for 2 groups, which is when the data is more than 3 groups, then we cannot use the t-test. Second one is it is very sensitive to the outliers, which is even there is more outliers, it will affect the t-test value. And last but not least, it does not measure the effect size or practical significance of the data difference. As for the conclusion, we can say that t-test is flexible statistical method that can evaluate the mean of a sample to the known population means, and it is has many uses in the research, and it can be used to determine the significance difference between the 2 groups or to assess the effectiveness of the treatment. Then, t-test is widely used in many fields such as the psychology, medicine, and business, or even engineering.